This episode of the Demonic Compendium contains spoilers for the following games. Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome to a blindingly bright new episode of the Demonic Compendium, the show where I discuss the mythology, design, and game history of your favorite Megami Tensei demons. Summer is upon us, and that comes with longer days and plenty of sun. So grab your shades and watch your eyes, because today we're talking about Horus. Horus is one of the most major figures in Egyptian mythology, and is often seen as one of the chief gods with the most important role. Horus is said to represent the sky, where his right eye is the sun and his left eye is the moon. Horus was the child of Osiris and Isis, and when Horus's uncle Set murdered Osiris, Horus fought him in an act of revenge. During their battle, Set damaged Horus's left eye, which explains why the moon moves in phases. After Thoth healed Horus's eye, it became a powerful religious symbol representing healing, known creatively as the Eye of Horus. The fight between Horus and Set is said to be eternal, with Horus winning in the daytime and Set gaining the upper hand at night. There are many different depictions of Horus, with some viewing him as a young child, while others see him as a wise elder. Most commonly, Horus is depicted either as a large falcon or a human with a falcon's head, and either way, he's had many shrines and places of worship throughout Egypt. Perhaps most notably, it was believed that the current king, or reigning pharaoh, was the physical earthly embodiment of Horus, and that worshipping the pharaoh was paying tribute to the powerful god. Horus's compendium entry from Persona 4 Golden refers to him as an ancient god of Egypt whose eyes are the sun and moon, revered by some as the chief god and often depicted as a hawk or a falcon. And that brings us to design-wise, Horus is a bit of a tricky one. See, Kaneko has said a few times that bird demons tend to give him some trouble. Horus is basically a giant bird that glows like the sun, which is an idea that I can appreciate for its simplicity and straightforwardness, but I don't think a few more direct nods to his Egyptian roots would have been unwelcome. I mean, the Eye of Horus is literally a thing. I feel like we could have included that. So instead, I'm gonna go into explaining why Horus is actually a hawk and not a falcon in his Megami Tensei design. Yes, many compendium entries specify that Horus is often depicted as a hawk or a falcon, but he actually should be a falcon instead. For starters, Horus has a more oblong head shape that almost blends into his body. Hawks tend to have these longer heads, while falcons usually have rounder ones. The biggest difference is in the beak, as falcon species typically have a tomial tooth that they use to kill their prey, whereas hawks generally rely on their talons, which Horus seems to be eager to use in his artwork. The wings are an interesting one, because while the sharper angles on Horus's feathers are slightly more reminiscent of falcons, the general wing shape, particularly the way the feathers spread out, is more accurate to hawks. So yeah, that concludes this episode of the Bird Compendium, where I talk about birds. Oh wait, I have more to say about Horus. So in the Persona 5X artwork, Horus is much less glowy and just kinda has some sparkles around him. I will say though, I do like the light streak coming from the eye. I think that's a nice touch. And then there's the Demi-Kid's design, which is actually pretty good. It turns Horus into a more bipedal figure, which is more in line with what we'd see in Egyptian hieroglyphics. It works. As far as game history goes, considering what a major deity Horus is in Egyptian myth, I'm fairly surprised how rarely he has any notable story significance. Horus appears in all three main games in the second Persona trilogy, always as a member of the Sun Arcana, which is pretty fitting, obviously. In Persona 5, sending Horus to the electric chair creates the Koga-an skill card, but it's a bit more interesting in Persona 5 Royal. Horus will create the Hallowed Ring accessory, or the Spiral Hallowed Ring if a fusion alarm is active. It's possible these accessories are an allusion to the Shen Ring, an ancient Egyptian symbol frequently held by Horus. Horus appears as a boss battle in Devil Children White Book as he attempts to kill Masaki for the sin of being a devil child. In Digital Devil Saga, there exists a special floor of the Brute's base that only spawns Horus. Since Horus has a decent chance to drop magic noises to boost your party members, many people grind them on this floor to max out your party member's magic stat. That may not really be game history, but it's still pretty helpful to know. In the mobile title, Shin Megami Tensei Liberation D2, you can fuse Horus into a unique shield called the Light Barrier that naturally makes newbie more resistant to light damage. Perhaps the most notable Horus role is in Shin Megami Tensei 5. At a certain point in the game, talking to Isis in the fairy village activates the quest, The Falcon's Head, where she says that Horus has gone kinda nuts, so she wants us to kill him and bring her his head. You can actually see Horus flying around, which is pretty cool. So you climb up, kill him, and get the Horus head, which... the eyes appear to have been gouged out by someone.
We're all trying to find the guy who did this!
But yeah, we bring it to Isis, and she gives us the Lady Talisman for our troubles. This is actually the first quest in a larger series with Egyptian demons that fleshes out Miyazu's character arc. And so there you have it, Horus, the fast-flying, flashy, fiery Pharaoh Falcon friend. Did I leave out something you thought was important? Was I just plain wrong about something? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to let me know who you'd like to see me talk about in future episodes. That's going to do it for this episode of the Demonic Compendium, and I will see you next time. But be careful while you rest that a demon doesn't take over your body.